Hey guys, EDDBUD here and welcome back to the channel. The upper of a running shoe can really make or break its success. So the topic of today is which manufacturers and models have the upper hand. So often we grab excitedly that new shoe box, don't we? Open the lid, pull aside the paper very carefully, only to find that the latest version of our favourite running shoe has undergone some drastic changes. More often than not, the manufacturers decided to amend the upper, change the materials, switched up the styling and the profile, and ruined what to us was a really great running shoe. The upper of a running shoe can really set it up for success or failure. Too much material around the sides of the foot leave us cinching those laces up really tight, and then the material almost meets in the middle, doesn't it? We've all had that feeling. I get that a lot with Hoka shoes. I think one of the worst for that was possibly the Clifton 7. That just seemed to have loads and loads of material there. Too little of that material, and we end up having to once again cinch the laces, and those laces kind of sit right on top of our foot, putting loads of pressure on those precious metatarsal bones. Poor lockdown can make the heel slip out of the shoe somewhat. I found that in the Pegasus 37. Even laces affect how good the lockdown might be over our foot. If we're in a warmer climate, it might be that an upper's just not breathable enough. It's just too heavy and there's too much padding there. And then again, if we're in a very cold climate or we're running in the winter perhaps, we want something that's perhaps not as breathable. There's just a million reasons, isn't there, why an upper can really put pay to the success of a shoe. I've picked out a few shoes from the collection here, which is quite extensive, that really hit the nail on the head. Before we get to the next part of the video, guys, it would really help the channel out if you'd hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications of when we launch those new videos. And we can help to get to the toppermost, the poppermost of the YouTube algorithm if you give this video a thumbs up like. The Pegasus 35 and 36 both utilise those fly wires in the upper, good toe box height, heel lock was really good in those two iterations of the shoe, and tongue padding for all eternity. It was just a really good zero thought shoe, the Pegasus 35. In the Pegasus 36 we had lace loops, no fly wires, a paper thin tongue which enabled the laces to really dig into the top of our foot. Because we all love that, don't we? Lockdown was made impossible in this shoe for me. Don't even start me off on the toe box room. How did it get so bad so quickly? It was a winning situation and we just kind of threw it away. The SL20 from last year was a solid gold winner. Light and vented upper materials, simple eyelets, and regardless of the weird pull tab design there, a victorious upper. If you then move on to the SL20.2, where do we start? I mean, it's a really plasticky feeling upper material now. These weird eyelets here that are these little loops that don't really go any further around the sides of the shoe. They just stick out there. They really do crease up the upper there. They don't let it lie flat. And of course the rigid and unpadded tongue. And it's all attached to what appears to be a unmodified SL20 midsole, where they just haven't sheared off the side pieces here as they did on their previous version. You don't really see an awful lot of love for this version of the shoe as you did for its predecessor. It's not like Adidas don't get it absolutely spot on sometimes though. I mean, look at the Boston series or the Adizero Pro, or the Adios Pro. Sublime uppers with everything that you want. It does seem at times that some companies spend loads and loads of money and research on the midsole materials and then just stick any old upper on top. Midsole tech that's cushioned, there's loads of energy return, compounds of great durability, only to just have anything thrown on top that holds it to your foot in a reasonable fashion. Hoka perplexes me a great deal. Their shoes, certainly in my size, have huge amounts of excess material in the upper. It makes them look quite bizarre actually on my foot. And it does make you wonder whether it's really needed. Has anyone tested it out with somebody of my shoe size? It just weighs down a shoe that in fact could be very, very promising if it was a tiny bit lighter. New Balance have width fittings that have drawn new runners to their brand of shoes. People that have got wider feet perhaps. You've got a whole multitude of different widths available in many different New Balance models. Let's just think about the New Balance Beacon though. a very simple winning design in the first iteration, but the heel collar and that collar change, people really didn't like it. They changed it in number 2, and then number 3 it's just fallen away, and it's not really a shoe that's on the radar. Do you get it? That sent many of the additional adopters of the Beacon running for the heels of alternatives. Is it change for change's sake in the case of the New Balance Beacon? I noticed some recent
hype
for discounted pairs of the Asics Novablast. Again, for me, a shoe where sizing was just all over the shop. A huge toe box, almost the same size as the warehouse of West Coast streetwear. A good shoe, but one that always left me wondering whether the midsole would have felt even better if the upper was a lot more fitting, if it was just a bit more refined, if they improved the fit, the lacing was better, a little bit reduced toe box width and height. I guess at least with the Vaporfly Next Percent 2, Nike have actually fixed a lot of the issues that some people had with the upper. Very occasionally, Nike just get it spot on. They listen to the feedback of the runners and make some drastic improvements. I think even Under Armour are showing with their Velocity Flow Wind shoe that actually you can produce a good upper. First time. It is perplexing though that Nike can produce a really nice refined upper in the Vaporfly Next Percent 2, but also knock out over-engineered trash like the Invincible Run upper. It really is a mess. Over-padded, overpriced and overhyped. Any shoe where you've got to pay 160 Earth credits, remove parts of it with nail polish remover, exchange out the insoles and the laces, I mean, but I'm sure some big running YouTubers will tell you it's an absolutely brilliant shoe and you should go out and buy it now. What a load of old. £160, you can get yourself some nice big blisters. You can't tell me that the upper's better than the Energy 3 from Reebok. No chance. Under half the price, I think it's grossly above what it should be. But I'll talk about that a little bit more when I hit 100 miles in it, if that ever happens. Nobody's safe from the ridiculous upper tinkering though. Even Reebok. They know how to foul it up sometimes. It was just a bit of a mess, right from the laces. They lowered the profile of the shoe, and the weird thing is that one side of the heel collar is actually a little bit lower than the other. It's very strange. I mean, just look at the tongue, it folds back over itself. I mean, they got the padding right, that's great, but the Run Fast 3 from Reebok upper isn't a patch on the Run Fast 2. Totally changed and not for the better. Sometimes though, companies just really nail it. I'm aware that uppers are quite subjective, and some of the uppers that I don't like you probably really do, and that's okay. What are your best and worst running shoe uppers of all time? Let me know down in the comments. You know I love it. A musical interlude for you. I'm a big fan of the Eels, and their Meet the Eels Essential Eels Collection Volume 1 is worth checking out. So this is all the tracks. It's mainly singles, but sort of selections from the albums of the first 10 years of the band. I'll say the band, it's mainly E really. There's too many favourites on here. I pretty much like every single track on the album. But I'll give you 3 that I think you should really go and listen to. Saturday Morning's always been one of my favourites. It's this kind of call to arms. Get up early on a Saturday morning before everybody else and get some stuff done. That might just be having a nice bowl of Weetabix and a cup of coffee and just relaxing, but it feels good to do that on a Saturday morning before everybody else. Railroad Man is a beautiful, mellow sort of track. Some lovely pedal steel in there, just lightly brushed acoustic guitar, and E talking about how he's kind of been left behind, you know, he's part of the old railroad and everything's changed and he's just like a piece of the past. And the wonderful Mr. E's Beautiful Blues, everybody knows that track. Apparently that was never going to be on an album, but the record company insisted it be there, but E didn't really feel that it fitted in with Daisies of the Galaxy, so he put a really big gap at the end of the album and then stuck it on at the end. So there you go, a bit of trivia. Go and search this one out, Essential Eels, the first 10 years, from Eels. Okay, thanks for sticking with me to the very end of the video today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button and also click the bell below for notifications of when I launch those new videos. And it really helps the channel out if you give this video a thumbs up like and also share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD and I'll be seeing you